Story number 1. Karen got fired after she complained about me and ends up in jail. So this is the story of one of my cousins who works in a supermarket. My cousin Dave, not his real name by the way, works in a supermarket with different departments that have different shift endings. This happens when either the late shift week, 1 p.m. to 9 p.m., and the store closed at 10 p.m. My cousin really loves his job because he lives nearby and can just go there if he forgot something. He working really hard because his boss told him that if he's keeping up that work level he get the promotion to market manager. So he usually stays 10 to 15 minutes after his shift usually ended to clean and to fill up the shelves so that his coworkers don't have to do that when they beg in the early shift, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. His coworkers really likes him and because of this he often can schedule himself off any Saturday he wants. Usually the department manager scheduled this, but Dave often jumps in for a sick coworker. Now to the problem. His department manager was in the hospital because he fall down the stairs and broke his left foot, so a replacement manager was displaced from a different department until the first manager was back, and this one was a Karen. She acted nice and friendly when the boss was around, but when he was gone she was an entitled B***tch. Telling the coworkers they should work much faster so she can go early or get off their break so she can go to hers. His coworkers gets in the busy season around 500 position on the order list and around 230 in the lazy season. This was the lazy season, so they were finished around 10 a.m. The rest of the time they helped out older customers, cleaning the shelves and more. On this particular day 2 trucks with over 500 positions standing had their entrance, and you can guess that Karen was already gone, so the coworkers called Dave and asked him if he could come in for about 3 hours because of this order. Dave jumps in and they get finicide 3.5 hours later. His coworkers thanked him for that and he clocked out to go home to enjoy the rest of the Saturday. When he comes back on Monday Karen was there and she yelled at them. Dave asked why and Karen asked him why he just worked for 5 hours on this Saturday and not 8 hours. Dave explained her that this was his day off and he had come in because they got much more delivered than usually and they told him that he can go home. Karen was not satisfied with this answer and tells him that this will have consequences. Dave really didn't mind anything about this because of his good reputation in the market. On Saturday when they got the new plan for next week, Dave noticed that he was scheduled from 7 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. He directly confronted Karen about this and she just said because he didn't work 8 hours on last Saturday he has to work more next Saturday to get his hours. Dave looked at her and asked her if she really is that stupid. Because he knew she couldn't do this. The reason is that you are not allowed to work more than 12 hours in the store with 2 hours included break, and the boss also has a rule that says that if you come in on your day off you only has to work until 1. The problem is solved, or 2, the coworker who called you says that you can go and for that you already get the full 8 hours paid. She threatens him to go up to the boss and telling him that Dave refused to work the shift on the Saturday. Dave just said go ahead. After this Karen really go to the boss and Dave got called to his boss. The conversation goes like this. Boss, so Dave, I got a complaint from Karen that you offended her because you didn't get next Saturday off, is that right? Dave, of course not. Karen complained about me because I'm not gonna work a 14-30-hour shift next Saturday. Boss, 14-30 hours? That is insane. Why did Karen put you in such a long shift? Dave, well, you remember that I had last Saturday off but had come in because we got too much stuff and helped about 3.5 hours so that everything is finished. Boss, yeah, why? Dave, Karen think that only the hours I worked should count and I should work 14-30 hours next week to catch up. Boss, well, this is not allowed. Dave, you can go back now, I will handle this. And oh boy, he handled it. On Monday Dave got called back to the office where his boss sat him down and handed him a new contract for the market manager position. He asked why and the boss explained that Karen got fired. Dave asked him why she got fired and the boss told him that apparently Karen's work hours showed that she had shifts from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day and this couldn't be. So he looked at the CCTV footage and saw that Karen left work but didn't clocked out. Hours later he could see that someone clocked out and you guessed right, it was Karen. She immediately got fired not only for this but because she stole around €400 worth of perfume which was found in her locker in her purse. His boss called the police and she got arrested. His boss really thanked him for his work and asked him if he still wants the position, but only under the condition that he becomes the department manager for the time until the original manager comes back. Dave gladly accepted. This is now about 4 months ago, and the last thing he heard from Karen was that the police also searched through her apartment and found stolen jewelry, many bottles of expensive alcohol, and other expensive stuff. She got 10 years for that in jail. Dave is now happy with his new position as market manager, and his old manager also got back to work. Hopefully he has never have to deal with a Karen again. Story number 2. Am I the jerk for violently retaliating against my long-term bully, causing severe injuries and ultimately leaving him brain dead? Despite enduring years of relentless torment, I crossed the line and now feel immense guilt for my actions. Seeking judgment and advice on how to address my anger issues and make amends. This situation happened several years ago, but its aftermath still haunts me. Back in 7th grade, I was an overweight kid struggling with self-esteem issues. To make matters worse, there was this bully named Jackson in 8th grade who made my life a living hell. Every day, he would taunt me, spit on my face, touch me inappropriately, and hurl insults at me. This relentless torment went on for years, and it made it impossible for me to make any friends because people were scared to associate with me. One fateful day in 7th grade, Jackson crossed the line yet again. He flipped burgers at me, called me a cow, and that was the breaking point for me. I had been bottling up my anger for so long, but I couldn't take it anymore. I snapped and told him that if he ever said those words again, I would kill him. Sadly, he didn't take my warning seriously and repeated his hurtful comment. In a fit of rage, I grabbed him and threw him down the stairs. It was a moment of pure adrenaline and anger that I can't fully explain. He tried to get up, but I jumped from the stairs and kicked his face, causing blood to pour out. However, as a consequence of that jump, I severely injured my own legs, which still affect me today. Instead of stopping there, I let him get up, and he uttered words that infuriated me even more. He said, "I'm not playing anymore." At that point, I snapped again, dragging him outside and repeatedly punching his head into the pavement. It was a horrifying scene, and 2 teachers eventually intervened and tried to pull me off him. Jackson was unconscious by then, and I was filled with a mix of anger and regret. The teachers took me to the principal's office, where I knew I had to act quickly to avoid severe consequences. My principal, who was also overweight and had spoken about her experiences with bullying, was sympathetic toward me. I put on an act, faking tears and telling her that Jackson had touched me inappropriately and mocked me for my weight, playing on her personal experiences. This led her to believe me and promise to take action against Jackson. The situation escalated further when my mom arrived to pick me up. She saw Jackson sitting there and unleashed a barrage of lies, accusing him of making me want to kill myself, even though she had no prior knowledge of him. It was a desperate attempt to make the situation seem worse than it actually was. As a result, I received a 1-day suspension and he sadly only a 3-month-long suspension later on. However, what I didn't know until recently was that there was lasting brain damage that I caused to Jackson. Over the past 5 years, I continued to attack him and basically bully him like he did to me whenever I saw him, unknowingly exacerbating the injuries I inflicted that day. As a result, he is now almost brain dead. In hindsight, I'm left with a feeling of immense guilt and regret, but also a sense of pride and joy because I feel like that was what he deserved.